Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. The House committee investigating the January 6th insurrection is recommending the Justice Department pursue 4 criminal charges against former President Donald Trump for his role in the deadly Capitol attack and trying to overturn Joe Biden's electoral win. It also recommended charges against his attorneys. The action is historic. No other U.S. president in history has been the subject of a criminal referral from Congress. It will ultimately be up to the Justice Department to decide whether to prosecute Trump and other top-level officials inside and outside of government. Christopher Martinez reports.
Ours is not a system of justice where foot soldiers go to jail and the masterminds and ringleaders get a free pass.
Democrat Jamie Raskin of Maryland says the January 6th attack on the Capitol involved hundreds of individual crimes. And at the committee's final hearing, he presented criminal referrals for former President Donald Trump obstructing an official proceeding of the U.S. government, in this case, the peaceful transfer of power, conspiring to defraud the United States. A third is for making false statements, referring to Trump's attempts to seat false electors in states that he lost. The fourth and final referral is for inciting or engaging in an insurrection.
The committee believes that more than sufficient evidence exists for a criminal referral of former President Trump for assisting or aiding and comforting those at the Capitol who engaged in a violent attack on the United States.
The committee also made a referral involving witnesses who refused to cooperate with the committee's investigation. They were not individually named, but the number includes several sitting Republican lawmakers, namely House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy of California, Jim Jordan of Ohio, Scott Perry of Pennsylvania, and Andy Biggs of Arizona. I'm Christopher Martinez.
The Democratic-controlled House Ways and Means Committee is expected to vote today whether to publicly release years of Trump's tax returns. The meeting could be the last opportunity for Democrats to disclose information about Trump's filings as Republicans prepare to take control of the House next year. Committee Chair Richard Neal has kept close hold on the panel's actions, but pressure's high on its members to make their findings public as Trump mounts a third White House bid for 2024. The committee received 6 years of tax returns for Trump and some of his businesses from the Treasury Department last year. Suspense is mounting at the U.S.-Mexico border as thousands of asylum seekers are waiting to enter the U.S., but late yesterday the Supreme Court issued a temporary hold to keep in place Title 42, a Trump-era policy that blocks migrants' entry into the U.S. It was to end Wednesday. Conservative-leaning states want a reprieve, though, in their quest to stop asylum seekers' entry into the U.S. In a last-ditch appeal to the Supreme Court, they argued the increased numbers of migrants would take a toll on public services, such as law enforcement and health care. They warned of an unprecedented calamity at the southern border. Chief Justice John Roberts granted a stay and asked the Biden administration to respond by 5 p.m. today. That's just hours before the restrictions are slated to expire Wednesday. The United Nations Secretary General gave his year-end speech and touched on a number of global issues facing the world body yesterday. Antonio Guterres addressed the climate and the war in Ukraine, among other issues. Max Pringle reports.
Guterres told reporters that 2023 will be a year that the international body will focus on ending conflicts and dealing with environmental threats to the planet.
I am more determined than ever to make 2023 a year for peace, a year for action, as we cannot accept things as they are.
But Guterres did say that he's not optimistic about the ongoing war in Ukraine ending anytime soon.
We have no illusions that a true peace negotiation would be possible in the immediate future.
Guterres referenced an agreement reached among negotiators at the COP15 Biodiversity Conference in Montreal that wrapped up Monday to halt the destruction of plant and animal species by decade's end.
We are finally starting to forge a peace pact with nature, and I urge all countries to deliver.
But Guterres said for all the progress being made on some environmental fronts, the international community is well short of its greenhouse gas emission goals.
We are still clearly moving in the wrong direction.
However, Guterres insisted that the trend can still be reversed. Guterres said he will convene a climate ambition summit next September. I'm Max Pringle.
Congressional leaders in the U.S. have unveiled a $1.7 trillion bill to keep the government running. The measure released early this morning includes another large round of aid to Ukraine, a nearly 10% boost in defense spending, and roughly $40 billion to assist communities across the country recovering from drought, hurricanes, and other natural disasters. It leaves out a child tax credit expansion that Democrats and progressive advocates demanded, caving to Republican demands. The cost of expanding the child tax credit would have been roughly $12 billion a year, a fraction of the beefed-up military spending in the omnibus. California Democrat Barbara Lee said on social media the child tax credit kept almost 4 million kids out of poverty, reducing the childhood poverty rate by nearly half. Republicans let it expire. Our child poverty epidemic is a choice made by so-called pro-life party, she said. Lawmakers are racing to complete passage before a midnight Friday deadline or face the prospect of a partial government shutdown going into the Christmas holiday. I'm Christina Onestad reporting for Pacifica Radio.